Is it not pleasant now we are tired? Is it not pleasant now we are tired and tarnished, like other men to search for those fires in the furthest east, where again we might see a morning's new dawn, and in mad history hear the echoes that vanish behind us, the sighs of the young loves God gives at the start of our lives. It was in her white skirts that he loved to see he run straight through the branches and leaves gracefully, but still gouge and hiding her leg from the light when she tore her dress on the briars and her flight higher far from the ways, from the farms and the valleys, beyond the trees, beyond the hills and the grasses haze, far from the herd, a tranquil tapestries, you discover a somber pool in the deep that a few bare snow-covered mountains form, and the lake and lights and night's sublime sleep is never disturbed in a silent storm. To that mournful waste, to the unsure ear, come faint drawn out sounds, all sounds, come faint drawn out sounds, more dead than the bell of some far off cow. The echoes unclear as it graces the slope of a distant dell on those hills where the wind effaces all signs, but those glaciers fired by the sun's pure light, on those rocks where dizziness threatens the mind, and that lake's vermilion presage of night under my feet and above my head, silence that makes you wish to escape the eternal sounds of the mountainous, a bed of motionless air where everything waits. You would say that the sky and its loneliness gazed at itself in the glass, and up there the mountains listened in grave watchfulness to the mystery, nothing that humans can hear. And when by chance a wandering cloud darkens the silent lake, move them by, you might think that you saw some spirit's robe, or else it's a clear shadow traveling over the sky in a perfumed land caressed by the sun. I found beneath the trees crimson canopy palms from which a languor pours on one's eyes the veiled charms of a Creole lady, her hue pale but warm, a dark-haired enchantress she shows, and her neck's poise the noblest of manners, slender and tall. She strides by like a huntress, tranquil, her smile, her eyes full of assurance. If you travel, my lady, to the land of true glory, the banks of the Seine or green Loire, beauty, were they of grace and the manners of olden days, you'd inspire among Harper's shadowy secrets 1,000 sonnets in the hearts of the poets, who more than your blacks, your vast eyes would enslave. Your feet are as slender as hands, your hips to me wide enough for the sweetest girls empty to the wise artist. Your heart, your body is sweet and dear, and your great velvet eyes black without peer, and the hot blue lands where God gave you nature. Your task is to light a pipe for your master, to fill up the vessels with cool fragrance and chase the mosquitoes away when they dance. I hope you dance. And when dawn sings and the plane trees afar fetch bananas and pineapples from the bazaar, all day your bare feet go where they wish as you hum old lost melodies under your breath. And when even red cloak descends overhead, you lie down sweetly on a straw bed where hummingbirds fill your floating dreams as graceful and flowery as you. It seems, happy child, why do you want to see France or suffering in overcrowded land, and trust in your life to the sailors, your friends? Say a fine goodbye to your dear tamarines, scantily dressed, and Muslims frail, shivering under the show, the snow and hail. How you'd pine for your leisure, sweet and free, body pinned in a corset's brutality, if you to glean a supper amongst our vile harms, selling the sound of exotic charms, a sad pensive, eyes searching our fog-bound sleeves for the lost ghost of your coconut trees, often for their amusement. Bored sailors like albatrosses, vast seabirds that asleep in the air, indolent fellow travelers, following the ship's skimming the deep. No sooner are they set down on the bards than those kings of the zoo were shamefully let their vast white wings like oars trail along their sides, but tediously a winged traveler grows useless, languid, laughable. Not one of them with a pipe stem, a prodigy who a moment ago were beautiful, never limping, mimics the cripple who flew. The poet bears a likeness to that prince of the air who mocks at slingshots and haunts the winds on earth in exile among the scornful where he is hampered and walking by his giant wings. You can scorn more illustrious eyes, sweet eyes of my child, through which there takes flight something as good or as tender as night. Turn to mine, your charmed shadows, sweet eyes. Worms, she's got eyes like the bluest skies that remind me of childhood memories. I hate to look into those eyes, probably break down and cry. Oh, whoa, sweet baby of mine. I've not forgotten near the town or White House small, but alone. It's Pomona of plaster, its Venus old, hidden nude limbs, and the Maker Grove, and the sun suburb at evening streaming behind the glass, where the sheaves were bursting, a huge eye and curious hat, then present to gaze at our meal, lengthy and silent, spreading its beautiful candle glimmer on the frugal cloth and the rough curtain, the great-hearted servant of whom you were jealous, sleep in the humble grass. Should we take her a few flowers, the dead, the poor dead, have grief like ours, and when October sighs, a clipper of trees round their marble tombs with its mournful breeze, they must find the living ungratefully wed, snug and sleep the warmth of their bed, while they are devoured by dark reflection, without bedfellow or sweet conversation. Old skeletons riddled with worms, a deep frozen, feel the winter snows trickling round them, and the years float by without kin or friend to replace the reefs of their ramblings end. And if some night when the logs whistle and flare, seeing her sit calm in that chair. If on a December night cold and blue, I might find her there placed in the room, solemn, and come from her bed eternal to guard the grown child with her material. What could I answer that P.S. spirit, seeing tears under her hollow eyelid? In order to write my chaste verses, I'll lie like an astrologer near to the sky, and by the bell towers listen and dream, and their solemn hymns on the air stream. Hands on chin from my attic's height, I'll see the workshops of song and light, the gutters of the belfries, those amassed of the city, the vast skies that yield dreams of eternity. It is sweet to see stars being born in the blue, through the mist, the lamps at the windows to the rivers of smoke climbing up the firmament, and the moon pouring out her pale enchantment. I'll see the springs, summers, autumns glow, and when winter brings the mountainous snow, I'll close all my doors and shutters tight, and build palaces of fiery in the night, and then I'll dream of blue wet horizons, weeping fountains of alabaster gardens, kisses, a bird song at morning up or twilight, all in the idyll that is most childlike, the mob that are beating in vain on the glass won't make me raise my head as they press, since I'll be plunged deep in the thrill of the folk in the springtime, through my own will, raising the sun out of my own heart, making sweet air from my burning thought, of the streets where at windows of old houses the Persian blinds hide secret luxuries when the cruel sun strikes with redoubled fury on the roofs and fields, the meadows and city. I go alone in my crazy swordplay, setting a chance rhyme on every roadway, stumble on words and over the pavement, finding verses I often dreamed I might be sent. The nurturing father, my foe, stirs in the fields. The worm and the rose. The worm and the rose makes our cares evaporate into the blue, fills the hives and our brains with honeydew. It is she who gives youth to the old man. A cripple makes them like young girls, happy and gentle, and commands the crops to grow ripe in an hour of the immortal heart that so longs to flower when he shines on that town. A poet that sings, he redeems the fate of the meanest things. Like a king he enters, no servants alone. All palaces, all hospitals where men moan. The moon dreams more languidly this evening, like a sweet woman, and the pillows at rest with her light head, with her light hand discreetly stroking before she sleeps the curve of her breast. Dying, she gives herself to deep trance and casts her eyes over snow white bowers, and on the satin slope of a soft avalanche rising up into the blue like flowers, when she sometimes lets fall a furtive tear and a secret languor on our world here. A pious poet, enemy of sleep art, takes the pale tear and the hollow of his palm is rainbow glitter like an opal shard, and far from the sun sets it in his heart. When went down to hell's charms and paid a share in his obels fare, he a somber, a beggar with ashen's glare, gripped the oars with strong avenging arms, showing their sack and breasts through their robes. Well, there I go, don't you know? Well, there I go. The poet is in his cell, unkempt and sick, crushes underfoot, and a manuscript measures with a gaze that horror has inflamed, the stare of madness where his soul was maimed, the intoxicating laughter that fills his prison with the absurd and the strange swamps. His reason doubt surrounds him, and ridiculous fear, hideous and multiform, circles near that genius pent up in a foul sty. Those specters, those grimaces, cries whirling and a swarm about his hair. That dreamer whom his lodging terrors bear, such are your emblems, soul, singer of song, of skur, of whom reality suffocates behind four walls. Like pensive a cattle lying on the sands, they turn their eyes toward the seas of fire, far hills and feet, searching each other's touching hands. I know sweet languor, and the bitterest thrills somewhere. The stream babbles deep in the woods, their hearts enamored of long intimacies. Ghosts spelling out the loves of their own girlhoods and carving the green bark of young trees. Others, like sisters, walk gravely and slow among the rocks full of apparitions, where St. Anthony saw like lava flows of a bared crimson breast of his temptations. There are those in the melting candles glimmer, who in mute hollow of caves still a pagan call on you to relieve their Roman fever. Batches to suit the remorse of the ancients, and those and others whose trouts are like scapularies, who hide in whips under their long vestment, and the somber groves of the night solitaries blend the sweets of joy with the tears of torment. O virgins, O demons, O monsters, O martyrs, great spirits, despisers of realities, now full of cries, now full of tears, pious and lustful, seeking infinity, you whom my soul has pursued, to your hell. Poor sisters, I adore you as much as I weep for your dismal sufferings, first that swell in the vessel of love where your great heart steam, rapping beautiful poetry, 15 minutes, you see.